Yeah. Hello, Ticking Time Bomb here. And today I will be reading another story from the Brothers Grimm popular folktales. Today I will be reading Fitcher's Bird. Very exciting, I know. Once upon a time, there was a fat wizard who used to take on the looks of a fat poor man. God. There's nothing wrong with fat people, by the way. And go around the houses begging. Like a fucking loser. Beggars are cool too. And he used to catch pretty girls. Like me. Like cocky today. Nobody found out where he took them to because none of them ever came home to tell the tale. Now, one day, he came past the door of a man who had 3 beautiful daughters. As usual, he was looking like a poor clapped-out little beggarman. Like you. Not like you. And he carried a wallet at his back for collecting alms in. He asked for a bite to eat, and when the eldest daughter came out and tried to hand him a piece of bread, he just touched her, and she had to jump into the bag. Kidnapping. Then he made off with strides a good sight longer than beggarman's, and carried her to his house, which stood in the middle of a gloomy forest. Okay, boomer. Everything in his house was wonderful. He gave her whatever she wished for, and said, "Come, my treasure, you will be happy living here with me. You've got everything your heart desires." It's just me. Well, that went on for a few days, and then he said, "Now I must go away on a journey and leave you alone for a little while. Here are the keys of the house. You can go all over it, look at anything you like, but not in the one room that is opened with this little key. That I forbid you on pain of death." And he gave her an egg as well, saying, "Look after this egg carefully. Best of all, carry it around you all the time. So if it were to get lost, a terrible calamity will follow." So she took the keys in the egg and promised to manage everything properly. She didn't. Once he had left, she went through the house from top to bottom and looked at everything. The rooms were all aglitter with silver and gold, and she reckoned she'd never seen such magnificence before. Then at last she came to the forbidden door. She tried to force herself to go past it, but curiosity gave her no peace. Fool. She looked at the key. It was just like any other key. So she poked into the lock and turned it, ever so little, and Pam, the door sprang open. Yeah. But what did she see when she went in? There, in the middle of the room, stood a great bloody basin, and inside the basin were dead people, all chopped up. Dinner time! Beside it, there was a block of wood with a glittering axe in it. This girl was so terribly frightened that the egg, which she was holding in her hand, tumbled into the basin. She dragged it out again and wiped off the blood, but all in vain. Ha! She dragged it... Wait. The moment it was gone, it appeared again. She wiped it and rubbed it, but she could not do away with it. Soon after this, the man returned from his journey, and the first thing he asked for was the key and the egg. Yeah! Trembling all the while, and he saw at once from the red stains that she had been in the room of blood. Woo! Like a period room, maybe. "Since you've gone into the chamber against my will," he said, "you must now go into it against your own. Your life is finished." Yeah! And he threw her down, dragged her into the room by her hair, struck off her head on the block, and chopped her into pieces so that her blood streamed all over the floor. Kind of messy. Then he threw her into the basin with the others. "Now I'll fetch the second one," said the wizard. Once more he took on the looks of a poor man and went past the house begging. Then the second daughter brought him a piece of bread, and he caught her like the first, just by touching her, and he carried her off. Well, it went no better for her than her sister. She let herself be overcome by curiosity, opened the room of blood, looked inside, and paid for it with her own life when the man returned. They're all stupid. Oh, and in case you're wondering, there's a lovely photo. So now he went for the third daughter. She was a tricky, crafty one. When he'd given her the key and the egg and gone off on his journey, she first of all set the egg carefully in a safe place, then went round looking at the house. Finally, she came to the forbidden chamber, and oh, what did she see? Meow, meow. God, I hate that. There were her 2 darling sisters lying in the basin, woefully slaughtered and chopped into pieces. But she set about things and assembled together all the bits of their corpses and laid them out properly. Head, body, arms, and legs. And when nothing else was missing, the limbs began to move and join themselves up. Okay, that's kind of scary, though. I feel like I'd probably crap myself. Each to each, and the two girls opened their eyes and came alive again. And how they rejoiced, hugging and kissing each other to no end. When he returned, the man demanded the key and egg as usual, and since he couldn't find any trace of blood there, he said, "You have proved yourself. You shall be my bride." That meant that he now had no more power over her and must do what she wanted. Goals. Here's a whale. "Very well," she said. "Before you do anything else, you must take a basket of gold to my mother and father, and, what's more, carry it on your own back. Meantime, I'll arrange the wedding." Then she ran to her two sisters, whom she'd hidden in a little side room, and said, "Now's the time when I can rescue you. This monster's going to carry you home himself, but once you get there, send help for me." And she put the two of them in a basket and covered them all up with the gold so that you couldn't see anything of them at all. Good thing gold's light, because that'd be kind of uncomfortable otherwise.
Not super light.
Yeah, that's fair. Apparently not light enough you can hide. Apparently it's heavy enough that if you put two people in a basket full of gold, you wouldn't notice the weight difference. And, okay. Then she called in the wizard and said, "Now off you go with this basket, but just to be sure you don't hang around down the way, sitting down to rest, I'll be standing at my little window, keeping an eye on you." Kind of creepy. The wizard heaved the basket into his back and set off, but it weighed him down so heavily that the sweat began to pour down his face. So he sat himself down to rest for a bit, but straight away one of the girls in the basket called out, "I'm watching you through my little window. I can see you sitting there. Get on with you." I just want to know how he didn't figure that out. Wizard's kind of stupid.
A little bit.
And he reckoned it was his bride calling out like that, so he got up again. Like, why would his bride be in... You hear your bride in the window, but actually directly behind you? Clear as day? Okay. So we got... Okay, after a bit, though, he needed another rest, but the voice came, "I'm watching you through my little window. I can see you sitting there. Get on with you." And every time he stood still, the voice called, and he had to go on, till at last, breathless and groaning, he brought the basket with the gold and the two girls back to their parents' home. Yeah, this story just has a lot of things that I don't understand.
That's okay.
But it's a good story. Back at his own house, though, the bride was arranging the wedding and celebrations, and she had all the wizard's friends invited. Then she took a skull with great grinning teeth, set it about with finery and a garland of flowers, carried it up to the attic window, and had it look forth. Then, when everything was ready, she jumped into a tub of honey, cut her eider down, and rolled in feathers so that she came to look like a weird bird and no one could recognize her. Then she left the house, and on her way down she met a party of wedding guests who asked, "You, Fitcher's bird, how came you here?" "From Fitcher's house I have come here." "What did you see the young bride doing there?" "She turned the whole place upside down, and now from the attic window she looks down." And thus she met the bridegroom wandering slowly back. Like the others, he asked, "You, Fitcher's bird, how you came here?" "From Fitcher's house I have come here." "What did you see my young bride doing there?" "She turned the whole place upside down, and now from the attic window she looks down." The bridegroom looked up and saw a fancy skull, and reckoned it was his bride, and nodded to her and waved her a friendly greeting. But when he'd gone into the house, along with his guests, his brothers and idiots, all the relations of the bride arrived, sent to rescue her. They all shut down the doors of the house so that no one could escape, and set fire to it so that the wizard and all of his crew were burnt. When your wife looks so much like a skull that you literally mistake her for this weird fucking skull in the window. Oh, must be my wife! Oh yes, and that is the end.